pass, caught by Clark. Clark got a touchdown.
Touchdown! The Jets are going to win this football game.
Quarterback number 99.
The Browns have come back from an unbelievable disaster to tie it.
We are going to win.
I know. It's no good.
Mosley missed a sure shot.
On January 3, 1987, at Cleveland Municipal Stadium, home of the Dog Pound, one of the longest and most dramatic battles in NFL history was waged. The Cleveland Browns, the AFC's top seed, hosted the wild-card New York Jets. For most of 1986, the Jets were the best team in the AFC. They won 10 of their first 11, including a remarkable comeback against the Dolphins.
O'Brien throwing over the middle. Wesley Wilson, touchdown! Touchdown! There is no time remaining. O'Brien's back to throw. O'Brien throwing long down the sideline for Walker. And he got it! Touchdown! Touchdown!
Through 11 weeks, the Jets had outscored their opponents by 100 points, and quarterback Ken O'Brien was leading the league in passing.
We just won our 10th game, and my wife said, "You're not very happy for being 10-1." And I said to her, I says, "You know, we're not going to be 10-1 very long. We keep losing all pros every Sunday."
The Jets suffered an unparalleled rash of injuries. The defense lost 4 of its best players and went into a tailspin. An offensive swoon followed. The Jets lost their last 5 regular season games by an average of more than 24 points. Still, they made the playoffs. Before their wild-card game, head coach Joe Walton, hoping to inject some life into his beleaguered team, made a change at quarterback.
Kenny had taken a lot of hits. He's pretty banged up. He could have played. But I felt like using Pat Ryan in the first playoff game, number one, he was healthy, and number two, he could move a little better than Kenny could.
In the first quarter, with the Jets down 6-0 and facing 4th and 6, Walton called on Ryan's mobility to save the Jets' season.
Joe Walton playing the role of the riverboat gambler. Pat Ryan on a quarterback sneak's got a first down.
The play energized the Jets and turned their fortunes around. They trounced the Chiefs and were set to face Cleveland in the AFC Divisional playoffs. The 2-time AFC Central champions were led by head coach Marty Schottenheimer. Before every game, Schottenheimer reminded the team of his simple motto for success.
All first blood, baby.
Amen.
All first blood.
Do it our way, one play at a time.
If you just go about your business and don't get ahead of yourself, take each play, go about it, do it the best you can. At the end, the whistle's going to blow and somebody's going to win. You enhance your opportunities to be that winner if you go about it one play at a time.
In 1985, Schottenheimer's first full season as head coach, he entrusted the offense to one of the most celebrated newcomers in team history, 21-year-old Cleveland area native Bernie Kosar.
Hey, Bernie, I know talent when I see it. I haven't spent much time talking to you about it because I can't do anything to help you. You're going to do it yourself. I'm excited for you.
In 1986, Kosar's second season, he threw for nearly 4,000 yards and owned the league's lowest interception percentage.
The great thing about Bernie Kosar was that he embraced the philosophy of one play at a time. The play that was just run, he could care less about. He didn't worry about it. And that's the mark of any championship quarterback in my mind.
Unlike the Jets, the 1986 Browns won their last 5 games, 2 in overtime. Against the Oilers, the winning points came from veteran kicker Mark Mosley, who had just been signed off waivers after the Browns' regular kicker broke his leg. The Browns finished 12-4 to capture home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The last time they hosted a playoff game, they were ousted by a wild card on a play that will forever live in Cleveland infamy.
The red slot right. You go in. No, the red slot right. The FX say 88. Let's go.
The play was called Red Right 88.
He looks, he throws, and it's a great play that may have been intercepted, and the Cleveland Browns call the chutzpah once too often. Holy Toledo!
Other than at some funerals, I've never seen a place go so silent as when that ball was intercepted. I had never experienced anything like that. We could have won the Super Bowl that year. We felt we were that invincible. We felt that good about ourselves. It took another 6 years for me to finally get that out of my system.
For Ozzie Newsome and the city of Cleveland, the chance at redemption had arrived. It was the Browns against the Jets in the 1986 AFC Divisional Playoffs. And it would turn out to be one of the NFL's greatest games.
So here we are on the third day of January, and there's no place on earth the New York Jets would rather be than on the banks of Lake Erie here at chilly old Cleveland Stadium, playing the Browns in the AFC semifinal. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Steiner. Welcome to Cleveland in round 2 on the road to Pasadena.
2 games. Pasadena. See you Giants at Pasadena.
An all-New York Super Bowl seemed unlikely, given the Jets had been trampled in their last 5 games of the season. But their wild-card playoff win gave them confidence, something they would need against the top-seeded Browns in Municipal Stadium, where the dog pound could smell fear.
You have to do a lot to get these guys ready. Just rattle a cage.
The offensive line was down in the corner of the end zone where the dog pound is. And we were getting pummeled with dog bones, snowballs. There must have been 2 inches thick of dog bones on the ground, with snowballs mixed in. And Dan Radakovich, our offensive line coach, went and got security guards to stand there so they wouldn't pelt us anymore with dog bones.
They bark, they bite, they come when called.
There was no one to protect head coach Joe Walton from the hounds in the New York media, who gnashed their teeth at the team's 5-game slide.
He couldn't go to his favorite deli or go out and get a cigar because everybody was talking about it. And I guess it was the same for us.
Joe and his staff were probably not the most even-tempered group. There was a great controversy before the Kansas City game. Who would start, Ken O'Brien or Pat Ryan? I said during a commercial break, the Jet offense is deader than Julius Caesar. The assistant coaches are in the next booth over. And one of them, whose name shall remain nameless, comes storming into the booth and shoves me in the back. And he'd say, how can you say that the offense is deader than Julius Caesar? And I turned around and I said to him, don't you have a game to play? That gives you some idea. They were tight. They were really tight.
Pat Ryan also felt tightness before kickoff.
Yeah, he strained his groin in pregame warm-up. I talked to him several times, and he said he thought he'd be all right.
And once you pull that and you yank it pretty good, anything can almost do it. And once you do it, it's extremely hard to come back.
Marty Schottenheimer had every reason to be confident. He had the better football team, the home field advantage, and a fiery young assistant leading his special teams.
Bill Cowher, he was crazy.
Go, hey, it's a battle. Go! And this is our first attack right here. Let's go. Keep going. Let's go.
Cowher got the Browns warmed up. But it would be Marty's one play at a time mantra that defined this marathon. On the first series, the Browns bullied the Jets into a 3-and-out and set the tone for what would be a physical game. The Jet offense was lacking a pulse, and their defensive line wasn't much healthier, with injuries to the two leading members of the famous New York Sack Exchange.
The Jets didn't have their best player. Their best player was defensive tackle Joe Klecko.
Klecko was out for the season, and Mark Gastineau was limited to passing situations.
The sack exchange was broke. Being in defensive backfield, playing man-to-man with no line is pretty hard.
The Jets are 28th in the NFL against the pass, last.
Russell Carter took out his frustration on Kevin Mack. And a promising drive for the Browns ended painfully for their starting running back.
Second down now at 7 for the Browns. Fumble.
I think Kevin Mack made the recovery there at the bottom of the pile.
All I can remember is the face mask coming up and just crunch me right in the mouth. And I could feel the blood running down. Had a couple of teeth loose and lip busted up, and it was just kind of ugly. Go back into the huddle, and one of my teammates look at me and tell me my mouth looks like hamburger, and I'm thinking, oh, this is great.
It would only get uglier for Cleveland.
That's not going to be close. Way short.
The Browns missed on their first scoring opportunity. Later in the quarter, the Jets got their chance.
Here's a throw downfield to Al Toon. It breaks it across the 40.
Yeah! They ain't ready. They ain't ready.
So the Jets hit the first big play of this game. A 28-yard throw to the consensus All-Pro Al Toon.
Marty Schottenheimer knew what was coming next.
You can anticipate the possibility maybe of one or two different plays, and then when that play unfolds early in the play, the keys will be there that if you follow them, you can go ahead and make the play.
Alert him in the huddle for adversity, something unusual. Okay. All right, reverse, flea flicker, halfback pass.
A gimmick play, quote unquote, if you will. Those are plays that are designed, to get everybody going one way and go back the other way.
Knowing what play is coming and stopping it are two different things.
Back to the quarterback. He can throw it again. Walker. Lateral. Man is open. Wesley Walker. And he's got the ball for a Jet touchdown. We look for innovation, and the Jets show a lot of it on a 42-yard scoring play.
The play itself was one that was well executed by them and not well executed by us.
I remember when I coached with George Allen, he always said that we don't have any trick plays, we have clever plays. And I still tell my kids that.
They're pulling them out of the last page of the playbook here.
My job on that play is to trick the nose guard into thinking it's a run and then peel off and pick up anybody who's going to hit the quarterback who doesn't buy the bait. Clay Matthews was getting close to hitting Pat, and I was able to come in and peel him off. I remember that because it was a nice block.
Pat underthrew it a little bit. He almost got back there, but Wesley made a great catch. When it works, it's beautiful. And when it doesn't, it's ugly.
And the Jets, the underdog, all of a sudden pull a big play and go to a 7-0 advantage.
Hey, they're going to hold that run, baby.
We deflated the crowd, absolutely. Going up 7-0, that crowd just stopped.
Coming up, the candid Bernie Kosar.
I can't remember my wedding date, but bro, I can remember every play you want to talk about.
The underdogs silenced the dog pound, and on the next kickoff, they kept the pressure on.
Look at the special teams play by the Jets. Big play on offense ignites this whole Jet football team.
So they get the early 7-0 lead. The Browns are at their own 2-yard line. Now you think.
Let's go. Hey, Barney, get him going. Let's move the ball.
Bernie was very calm and cool about it, and that, of course, emanated to his players. The guys on the field with him had a lot of confidence in him.
When they scored initially, no skin off our back. When we have the ball, we feel we can score at any point. I think we have enough weapons and a very smart quarterback.
He was not in awe of being in the National Football League. He had a maturity about him that I had never seen in any young player.
Bro, I ran like a 6-flat 40. I mean, Christ, I had to have something going for me.
Let's go, defense!
One advantage for Kosar was a weakness in New York's coverage.
Red 20! Red 20!
Our linebackers were very good blitzers and pass rushers and stopping the run, but they weren't very good pass defenders.
He's open for a first down to the 23-yard line.
Kosar also utilized the home turf advantage at Cleveland Municipal Stadium.
Cleveland was notorious in those days for bad field conditions. Didn't seem to bother them, but a lot of visiting teams had problems with the field.
These guys are coming from playing at the Meadowlands and playing on the turf, all the nice facilities, all that nice stuff. We had crap, okay? It was complete crap. Oz and me were used to running on this bad field in this big mud, so it was a distinct advantage to have an inside linebacker matched up in man coverage, having that whole field to have to cover.
All they needed was one step. If they got one step ahead of our linebacker, he had a good enough arm, an accurate arm, to make those completions.
The Browns had another receiving threat, running back Herman Fontenot, who had to be accounted for by defensive coordinator Bud Carson.
All right, listen up. Listen up now. The 28 is in the backfield. Russell. It should be no problem. And if they've got a fullback, then Bob Crable and the Monsters taking a fullback either way. Right. Yeah.
Bernie Kosar was never the prettiest quarterback, but his passes were often a thing of beauty.
The beauty of Bernie Kosar, he finds Fontenot lost in the coverage.
And now, it is a 7-7 game.
We had a good gimmick play again, which matched up good for a man-type coverage. I mean, you're faking a running play up the middle to a Kevin Mack, a dominant running back, and Herman sneaks up on like an arrow takeoff. It's too tough for a linebacker to have to stand in there and then cover someone like Herman, who had wide receiver-type hands and speed.
And in that drive, which was 98 yards, he was hitting wide-open players.
When you drive 98 yards, you break the back of the defense.
After this dramatic flea flicker, long bomb, touchdown pass to Wesley Walker, 98 yards is tie score. And you're thinking, if you're going to be the underdog upset winner here, you got to bury those guys at the 2, and they couldn't and didn't.
Up next, the Browns punish Pat Ryan.
The quarterback is down. He's got to come out for one play.
The heavily favored Browns were back in control, and it was clear that the game would be won or lost by their brash young signal caller.
I don't play the field position game. I don't play the defense game. It sounds really simple and somewhat stupid, but you play offensive offense. And you play to score, and you play to get first downs.
He throws a strike for a first down over the middle. Ozzie Newsome having a big day.
Kosar continued to exploit the linebackers, with future Hall of Fame tight end Ozzie Newsome and his running backs out of the backfield.
Ozzie Newsome and the running backs, they were killing us. When he was throwing to his wide receivers, we just had a much better chance.
But right now, the Browns are looking to take the lead. Timing pattern. Downfield to Langhorne, and a great tip away by Jerry Holmes, who got up and got a hand on it.
In the first half, throwing to his wide receivers, Kosar was just 3 for 11 for 30 yards, and the Browns had to settle for another Mark Mosley field goal attempt.
Attempt is drilled up from 38 yards out, and Mosley is right there. And for the first time today, the favored Cleveland Browns take the lead. They go out in front 10-7.
Well, we called Pat Ryan the Bopper. Even though he had a quarterback number on his back and he was in the quarterback position, he had that mental attitude that he was going to be tough.
Inspirational leader of this offense. They call him Mr. Guts.
Pat Ryan had been gutting it out with a pulled groin. But late in the first half, he succumbed to the pounding of the Browns' pass rush.
Ryan on the run, and now he's in trouble, and Pat Ryan is chopped at the 7-yard line.
Who is that that's down, Joe? Quarterback, I believe. Dave, the quarterback is down. He's got to come out for one play.
It wasn't for one play. Pat Ryan was done for the game, and his replacement was the man whose job he had taken the week before.
You wonder psychologically what this does to the football team.
I didn't think it was that horrible. I mean, it was not, oh, no, we're bringing this kid in from Texaco Tech. I mean, this is a guy who was a pretty good quarterback.
At that time, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, Dan Marino, Ken O'Brien, they were right there the same. He just took a lot of pounding. He hurt his hand, he hurt his elbow, his leg was hurt. He was beat up.
Ken O'Brien, who started during that 9-game win streak, will be back in at quarterback for the Jets.
Ken O'Brien was like the entire Jet football team. Hurt, but unwilling to stay down.
Not much time left. O'Brien ready to throw downfield and try to get in field goal range. And a catch to Freeman McNeil, and he moves it upfield and gets out of bounds. They get a first down and stop the clock with 53 seconds to play in the half. Browns come with a 3-man rush. 8 back to cover. Throw over the middle to tight end Mickey Schuler. And he's down to the 46-yard line.
Dave, they've got one timeout left.
On fourth down, with 20 seconds to go in the half, the immobile O'Brien did the improbable.
He really wasn't a running quarterback. He was basically a pocket quarterback. But he actually ran a couple times in that game. I think sometimes from coverage and sometimes running for his life.
O'Brien's 16-yard scramble, his longest run of the season, brought New York to within range of a Pat Leahy field goal attempt.
This is good. It'll tie the game. It's got the distance, and it's got the range. The underdog Jets have tied the game 10-all.
They've played an excellent first half.
Coming up, Mark Gastineau antagonizes the Browns.
For any opposing player to taunt the people in the dog pound, you're really asking for it. You really are asking for it.
The underdog Jets were in a tie game, despite the limitations of their most famous and most controversial player, Mark Gastineau.
The Jet locker room was populated with guys who had pickup trucks and station wagons, and he was a Lamborghini. He was jet set, he was at the clubs in Manhattan, he had Brigitte Nielsen, he was showbiz, and these guys were blue collar.
He may have been glamorous, but Gastineau played a blue-collar game, battling through the first half with a severe abdominal pull.
When I did pull, my abdomen, it was something that I was in, pain.
Mark Gastineau really suffering on the sideline. He's got that abdominal pull. You can tell it's affecting him.
Now look, it's just like the start. We're going to take one play at a time. Some will be up, some will be down. One play at a time. We'll do it our way, one at a time. Let's go.
Hey, man, come on now. Hey, get him, Bill. There's no tomorrow, man. Let's go, baby. This is our last attack, and they have not heard the last of us.
And Cleveland hadn't heard the last of Gastineau. Throughout the second half, he fought through pain and blockers to get to Bernie Kosar.
Gastineau in the game now to rush the passer.
He's not even close to 100%.
When it's time to get to a three-point and go, he's as quick as he's been.
He liked the pass rush, so he pass rushed on every down.
Gastineau also liked to dance, and early in the third quarter, the Jets' lightning rod ignited the Cleveland crowd.
Mark! Come on, Mark!
Pretty well right now.
And I'd egg him on a little bit, just to aggravate him. But then some of the things that he chanted out, was wow. It was so loud then. I can remember just saying, Mark, you're all right. You're all right.
For any opposing player to taunt the people in the dog pound, you just got to be nuts. You're really asking for it. You really are asking for it.
Gastineau's sack gave the Jets field position, and New York took advantage with 1,000-yard rusher Freeman McNeil, who was held to just 18 yards in the first half.
This is the guy they've got to unleash here now for the Jets to have a chance to win this football game.
New York was within range of a go-ahead field goal and took a 13-10 lead. Cleveland's points had come as a result of their passing game. But the Browns' failure to achieve any balance on offense was troubling to their run-oriented head coach.
We didn't run the ball a lick in the game.
Devin Mack has only 9 yards on 7 carries.
Lindy, any thought about trying to run a little bit?
This defensive front seven of the New York Jets doing an excellent job.
The failure of the game plan was not surprising to the Browns quarterback.
I don't want to be a defeatist or negative, but I didn't typically buy our coach's BS when I said, okay, we're going to run the ball today.
I don't know how we do it, but we got to find a way trying to run the ball.
I tended to look at things like, okay, hope you're right, but what if you're wrong? Just on the slim chance, bro, that you're wrong, okay, what's going to happen? Because you're not going to say I'm sorry, to me the next day.
Well, now hold on. Let me just hold on a second. Let me just make a point. All I want us to do is to find out what we can do run. I'm not saying we got to run all the time.
I try to be really respectful when I'm changing the coach's plays. I don't try to make it look like, you know, their plays are bad and mine are good. I really try to do it respectfully and professionally. I don't do it just to show people up. I do. There's always a reason.
It's hard to do, Bernie. It's a lot of.
You know, that wasn't the first time we've had these issues, and you had to make adjustments in the game plan, and you had to fight for what you really think's right and what you really think's going to work.
Let's get the first down, and we'll talk about this later. What do we got? What are we down with?
26 lead. We'll talk about it later.
Let them yell, let them yell, let them yell. It didn't matter. Their stuff wasn't working. It just didn't work. The stuff wasn't working.
Right now, it's Bernie Kosar's offense on the field. First down and 10.
Kosar called 3 running plays in the third quarter and 20 pass plays. Cleveland's backs turned Kosar's short throws into long gains. But his deep throws were dropped. Potential big plays were merely long incompletions. Frustration was mounting. After Mark Mosley missed another field goal, the Browns' next drive ended with another dropped pass.
Running out of chances here.
Marty Schottenheimer and Bill Cowher took it out on the officials.
High hit downfield. Fair caught and ran the ball. No flag whatsoever.
I'll take it. Hey, Doc, that's bullshit. He put his hand right up there like he ran with the ball. Get out of there.
The Browns were cheated out of 5 yards. Schottenheimer had to be careful that Cowher didn't cost them any more.
And they told me, said, Coach, if you don't get him out of here, we're going to penalize you 15 yards. And I talked to Bill about it, but, you know, he was such an emotional guy and he brought such great energy that he continued to run right by me.
He ran with the ball. He ran with the ball.
Billy, get out of there. I'll take care of it.
The Browns failed to regain the lead. Near the end of the third quarter, Ken O'Brien missed a golden opportunity to extend it.
Kenny played well. He really did. He did have one bad pass where we had Altoon wide open.
Ryan looks for more, steps in. Long ball. Toon is out there, but too much on it. He had the corner flat beat, and for Dixon was looking from behind.
That might have sealed it. It was an option play for Al, and it worked like a charm. Kenny just missed it.
Good throw by O'Brien. That's a big completion.
Finally, when things do work, okay, he gets enough time to throw. You know, nobody's bothering him, and it's just a little bit too far. And all you can do is just, you know, hit yourself in the head and say, next time. And maybe there's not a next time.
Up next, things get worse for Cleveland.
We want the Giants! We want the Giants! We want the Giants!
In the fourth quarter, Carl Hairston and the Browns' defensive line dominated the Jets' offensive front. The Browns finished with 9 sacks. Hairston had 3. A well-protected Bernie Kosar began marching the Browns toward the go-ahead score. Brian Brennan's pass on an end around set up 3rd and 5.
don't know if it was them arguing that we were holding or playing too physical on them. I had a perfect shot at the ball. Didn't really go for the ball, but to knock it down. And we met, ball, me, and the receiver met all at the same time. It was kind of, to me, a bad call.
2 short Kevin Mack runs positioned the ball inside the Jets' 5. On 3rd and goal, Russell Carter had Webster Slaughter and a shot at redemption in his sights.
Attempt to tie it, and the Jets take over the ball at their 20.
For Ozzie Newsome and the Browns, the bad interception in the end zone brought back painful memories of a play 6 years earlier.
Oh my God, here we go again. This is Red Right 88.
Very similar situation. At the goal line, ready to take it in, and Kozar throws a very bad pick.
Ball thrown into double coverage. Someone was not supposed to be there.
Russell Carter.
I was covering the short receiver, and they had curled the receiver behind me. I just looked at the quarterback all the way and just broke off my man, and I was right in his passing lane.
I didn't like the way we did plays in the goal line. We'd run on first down, run on second down, and the whole world knew we were throwing, we'd throw on third down. I'm smart enough to have not run the play. I should have changed it. I changed 100 of them. I should have just changed that one. And then I coupled one mistake with a worse mistake of throwing something I shouldn't have thrown. I was still grumpy, really grumpy, at the sequence of play calling. And, you know, we had talked during a week about how they sell out for the run. We were horrific running the ball all game. We didn't do anything. I said, take your dresses off, call a pass play on first down. You never do.
Bernie was emotional. I mean, he was an emotional type.
It's just trust the protection, stay in there.
But as far as this concept that we talk about one play at a time, it isn't something that I dreamed up or was dreamed up by others. That is the reality of this game that we play. And it was never more evident as this game unfolds to its conclusion.
And I was real wrong for feeling, you know, still like not taking Marty's advice, and for just kind of thinking of how we screwed up a sequence of 3 plays instead of taking it one play at a time and executing that one play.
Kozar, still preoccupied with the mistake, made another the very next time he touched the ball.
Last drive ended in the Jets' end zone with an interception of Bernie Kosar by Russell Carter. No! Picked off by the Jets. Jerry Holmes has it, and they rule him down at the 20-yard line.
2 interceptions that Bernie Kosar has thrown today. This one, Holmes, you see, drops right out in front of Herman Fontenot. He's there to make the interception, stops the drive, and now the Jets, they own it.
I'm watching all the people in the dog pound, which the whole year was packed and crowded and into it, and people were like leaving, feeling like, you know, you let not only the team down, but the city down, you know, and everybody was kind of counting on you. This was kind of all rolling through your head. I still remember the guy who picked it off screaming at me. Oh, you blew it, you choked. That just stuck in my head. I made sure I got him.
One play later, the plight of the Browns went from bad to worse.
Freeman McNeil breaks it. He's going in. Freeman McNeil crosses the goal line, breaks the plane.
This is just sheer athletic ability of Freeman McNeil. You see, he's got Guy Bingham out in front of him. Bingham does the job. And with that good footing, McNeil makes one move into the end zone.
80,000 here at Cleveland Stadium, stunned.
At that time, I literally thought we had won the game.
He wasn't the only one.
McNeil still on his feet to the 20, 15, 10, 5, and touchdown! Freeman McNeil, 25 yards. The Jets are going to win this football game. The Jets are going to the AFC Championship.
Let me defend myself. Emotion and logic met. The Jets are about to take a 10-point lead with 4 minutes to go. The Browns, in 56 minutes, had scored 10 points. They're going to score 10 in 4? So that is what my brain is thinking at the time. And my mouth spewed these words out that that live on, albeit with a faint little itty-bitty pulse.
Up next, the faint heartbeat of the Browns gets a major boost.
I've never been in a louder, more exuberant stadium at the outset of this game.
Probably never been in a bigger stadium more quiet than this one right now either.
With 4 minutes to go, we were down. You know, everybody thought the game was over. It wasn't, though.
The fat lady hasn't sung yet, but you can believe she's in the wings warming up the pipes.
Kosar's got to do something in the last 4 minutes that he's not been able to do in the last 56, and that's throw it deep.
Kosar stands in, and Bernie Kosar goes down. Gastineau now exhorting the dog pound, waving his fist at him.
Now the snowballs come in from the dog pound.
I think it was Mark saying, hey, look what we just did. And we only got 4 more minutes to hold on to this one.
One player who had had enough of Mark Gastineau's antics was Browns left tackle Paul Farron.
I remember him almost killing Brian Brennan. Brian said something nice to Mark, like, hey, good job. Paul almost killed him right there. Paul almost killed him. I had to separate them. And I was feeling bad for myself because I blew the game, bro. I threw 2 picks. I was half suicidal right there, you know. So dog pounds like chucking bones, you know, and I'm trying to tell myself they're bad aims. They were throwing them, I think, at me. But it was a tough time.
On the next play, the hot-tempered Farron was called for grabbing Gastineau's face mask. But the penalty was nullified by a defensive hold on Marty Lyons.
We had an excellent defensive coordinator, the late Bud Carson, but he was always a pressure defensive coach, and he got after people. And sometimes that's great, other times didn't work, unfortunately.
On 2nd and 24, Carson again sent Gastineau to rush the passer. The end result would be the turning point of the game.
Kosar gets time, but it's slapped right back at him, and here's another penalty marker down. They might have Gastineau on a late hit. That guy has been playing with a vengeance today, though. They can't hold him out.
Gastineau gets by Farron. All the way. Gastineau continues. He wasn't the only one either.
Quarterback number 99. That's 15. That's a first down.
I thought that it was a hit that I didn't think was that out of the question. I would really have felt sick, you know, if I thought it was.
Clearly a foul. It was by a guy who'd been a lightning rod for the team. A lot of sacks, a lot of controversy. It was a bad play, misjudgment by Gastineau, who'd been gutting it out all day, but it was a defining point in that game, I think.
What got Mark into trouble is he ducked his head almost as if he speared the quarterback in the back. He was out of control, too much speed. couldn't stop his body. His mindset was to get Bernie on the ground.
I just remember after the play, it was literally like, you asked, what's the dumbest thing you could do? And that was the dumbest thing you could do.
It clearly was a milestone play, if you will, because, you know, the odds of converting 3rd and 24 are not particularly great.
I mean, the game was over. The game was over if we hadn't had that, truly believed that.
We got a 10-point lead. Everybody's kind of like sitting on their hands. The dog pound is quiet. Once that late hit came in, the fans, the players, they got new life, and it was electrifying for them, and for us, it was demoralizing.
I remember just hatred coming from the audience towards Gastineau, towards the New York Jets, from our offensive line, from anybody on that field. Thank goodness for Mark Gastineau, the 12th man for the Cleveland Browns, late in the 4th quarter.
The Browns were given new life, but the health of their quarterback was very much in question.
Oh, I was dying. I couldn't breathe for a couple plays after that. You couldn't breathe? Oh, geez, God, no, that hurt like hell. Oh, my God, it hurt like, it still hurts thinking about it. Oh, it hurt like hell. Yeah, it was probably one of the all-time hardest hits I ever had. Cracked my ribs, I'm spitting blood up, and, you know, some of the guys were saying, like, maybe you should come out, and, you know, I'm thinking, God, how could I come out? I had thrown 2 picks. I mean, that would be so gutless, you know, to have kind of blown the game. And, you know, then to get knocked out, you know, that was just, like, I couldn't have that, you know, deal with myself for that off season. I felt like I let my teammates down.
You have to have a leader, and our leader wanted a chance to get back out on that field to prove that we could win this thing. I think his inspiration overcame that woe is me attitude. He was a warrior. He wanted a chance to get back out there, redeem himself for his teammates and for that city.
Take him all the way, Bernie. Take him home.
In desperate need of a score, Kozar and the Browns received one more break. Instead of 4th and 1, a generous spot gave Cleveland a first down.
Jets playing way back in the zone now as Kosar stands in. Fires downfield. Langhorne makes the catch, gets out of bounds at the Jet side of the field.
Prevent defense now that the Jets are using. The only yardage they're protecting is the yardage behind the defensive back.
Kosar loops downfield to Brian Brennan, who's down to the 22-yard line. And the Browns quickly sprint downfield to go into alignment without a huddle. Browns need a touchdown, an extra point, and a field goal just in time. Throw and a catch by Brian Brennan, and he's down at the 3-yard line as we're down to 2:15 to play.
They were playing like that was the last play they were going to ever play. You know, and if you look at it, you really need to play with that kind of reckless abandon because it could be the last play you ever play.
Kevin Mack might be slanting to the right side. Kevin Mack is in standing up.
Good job here by the offensive line. Excellent lead block by Everett on Kyle Clifton, and Kevin Mack goes in for the score. One thing about the Browns, they were known a few years ago as the Cardiac Kids.
Browns, if they can get the ball back and get in field goal range, could send it to overtime, but that's a long way off.
Up next, the frantic final 2 minutes of regulation. With less than 2 minutes left, the Browns had scored to close the gap to 3. Marty Schottenheimer, with only 2 timeouts left, elected to try an onside kick.
The shorthanded Jet takes the ball at the 45-yard line of Cleveland.
Marion Barber, their best special teams player.
We're thinking, give the ball to the offense and let the offense run the clock out. I'm thinking on the sideline, just keep handing the ball to Freeman. Go Freeman on first, Freeman on second, Freeman on third. Let's just get out of here.
On first down, Freeman McNeil was poked in the eye and nearly fumbled. The Jets retained possession, but McNeil was forced to leave the game.
Remember very well feeling pretty helpless sometimes near the end of that ball game. The only healthy running back I had was Tony Page.
A short run by Page set up 3rd and 10 with the Browns now out of timeouts.
We were not pass blocking very well, so I took a shot. You know, I thought maybe we can steal a first down without having to pass the ball.
Joe Walton called a quarterback draw for Ken O'Brien.
Quarterback draw, didn't get there. Ryan was down at the 48-yard line. That stopped the clock at least momentarily.
The Jets made a mistake there. Any sack in the last 2 minutes of a half or the game and the clock stops until they reset the ball.
That was a call you have to question because they did not have a running quarterback, and it was ruled a sack, which stops the clock.
Ken O'Brien on a quarterback drive. Might as well give me the ball.
Kenny O'Brien is known to throw the ball. Kenny O'Brien is not going to sprint 10, 15 yards to pick up a first down.
The call worked the week before against Kansas City. Their tackles went out, which made life a lot easier for the offensive line. But on this particular play, their tackles were coming right up the gut. It was poorly executed play, and I don't think maybe it shouldn't have been called. It was just bad all around. If we didn't do that, you'd look at it, we could run another 25, 30 seconds off the clock.
Dave Jennings' punt pinned the Browns inside their own 10. But the play was called back because of holding.
The quarterback runs a draw, they think it's a pass, so the clock stops. We have a good punt, rolls down, Gerald McNeil doesn't catch it, rolls all the way down, we have a holding penalty. And gets to the point where we're like, here we go again.
They now have field position. So again, everything started to shift a little bit. And as a player, you can actually feel it slipping away.
The Browns, out of timeouts, had one last chance from their own 32.
53 seconds to play. The Browns send out their offense looking to get in field goal range to tie it and send it to overtime. They'd love to take it in and win it, but a field goal is a much higher probability.
Those of you with heart pacemakers, get the batteries recharged right now.
Cardiac kids are back.
Long ball, Brian Brennan. Tipped away, penalty marker at the 42-yard line. And the clock is stopped on the flag with 47 seconds to play.
Walking through the streets of Cleveland, they'll say, that Jets game was unbelievable. You made so many good catches. And then I think back, I think my best play was the interference call. Sometimes being an actor, slowing your body down at the right time, makes for a good interference call.
They get the entire yardage at the point where the flag is thrown. That ends up being a 26-yard play.
The Browns down by 3, about 15 yards in field goal range. Once you hit them with the big play, they're not doing that. They're not doing that coverage the next time. They're just not. They can't help themselves. And so I was able to, after hitting Brennan, able to tell Webster, they're going to fake the coverage that they just did. They're going to bump cover, you play man coverage.
If it was man-to-man, Bernie loved to go to Webster Slaughter. Any man-to-man coverage, number 84, Webster Slaughter, was his favorite receiver.
Right now, looking to get in field goal range, Kosa. Backpedaling, long ball, Webster Slaughter. He's got the ball. He's down to the 5-yard line. And the Browns have indeed a chance to win it.
This is the gutty Bernie Kosar. He throws it to Webster Slaughter, and actually Russell Carter has pretty good coverage on him. But Slaughter, who's dropped several passes today, makes the big catch.
He took an outside release, I chucked him, ran down the field, Kosar threw a great pass, but my hand was literally in his chest. The ball hit my hand, he bobbled it a little bit. My other hand swiped it, he caught it on like the second bounce down at the 5-yard line.
Unbelievable play, and everybody just, I think we just kind of lost our minds right there for a few seconds. We're all celebrating like we won the game already.
They were going crazy, and I had to second see if they were in the end zone because they were celebrating so much.
35, 34. They got to get set up, throw the ball out of bounds, and stop the clock. Quit celebrating. seconds, 23.
We're running around out there. We're having a joy fest, and of course it was very apparent. Kozar knew the situation and the circumstance, and that we had to get them lined up and get the clock stopped.
Everybody's going nuts. I'm going nuts trying to get everybody there. Everyone thinks they're just going to kick a field goal, get into overtime. Greedy quarterback that I am, you know, this is where I do the clock play. We fake like we're going to spike it, and I'm going to throw it. You know, I'm not very fast, and I'm really confident, you know, and I'm aggressive, and I'm going to throw it. I'm going to throw it.
Looks like we're going to go to overtime unless this goes in. Tipped away at the last moment. Slaughter was open, and we're down to 11 seconds.
Just looking back at it, if you could have anyone, that would have been the one to get. It's like torture almost.
Here's the thing they got to remember. DBs are DBs for a reason. They can't catch. If they could catch, they'd be receivers.
They're going for the field goal on this down. 11 seconds left. Mosley brought in when Matt Barr tore up his knee.
The field goal unit is on with the ball at the 5-yard line, 2nd and goal. My, oh my.
I think the Browns offense wanted one more chance at it.
They
but
better
Marty Schottenheimer has decided if we're going to win or lose this one, it's going to be in overtime.
Snap and set down. Kick out of the way. Gets up and good. And the Browns with 7 seconds to play rally back and tie the game, and we're going to go to overtime.
Ernie the Kid looked bad for a moment, but when the pressure was on, he came back and got the 10 points he needed.
This place is absolutely bedlam. The stadium has gone berserk.
There was silence at 4 minutes to go after Kozar threw that second pick, right? And they all piled out, but they came back.
Listen to Cleveland Stadium. The Browns rally back from 10 points behind in the fourth quarter to tie the game, and we're going to overtime at Cleveland.
Up next, overtime and then some.
You want to call a coin? He'll call a coin. I got it here. Okay. Call it in the air. Tails. Tails. Yeah!
I was fired up when I won the coin toss. I said, here we go. We're going to go right down and win. And we didn't even get a first down.
Another futile offensive possession forced a tired Jets defense to return to the field. Bernie Kozar was given plenty of time and once again picked the Jets apart.
Kevin Mack, the lone setback. Jets come with a blitz. Browns pick it up nicely. Long ball. Man's open. He's got the ball at the 5-yard line. It's Langhorne. Reggie Langhorne beats the corner deep. A 35-yard gainer.
We documented early how accurate Bernie Kozar is when he throws the ball deep. He's not pretty, but he puts enough air under the ball that Langhorne can adjust to it, and they bring Mosley in, taking no chances. No red right 88 here in Cleveland Stadium.
They're going to put it right up. This will end it.
It's good. I'm calling it. It's good.
It's no good. The Jets will get the ball back at their 20. Mosley missed a sure shot. Snap and hold were good, and the kick was just offline.
A very significant moment in my coaching career. My initial reaction was one of disappointment, frustration, anger, and immediately I changed my mindset and I said, hey, look, let's go, let's get the thing going, and we can get, and I've never forgotten that throughout my coaching career, that you cannot give your players any indication that you are in a sense of desperation or frustration or whatever it is, and I've maintained that for the most part throughout my coaching career.
We felt Even with that miss by Mark Mosley, we're going to come back.
Come on, Brian Moore. Come on. All right.
Defensively, we were thinking, wow, that should give us new life. You drive it all the way down inside the 5-yard line and you miss a 23-yard field goal. Fate is back on our side. Here it comes. We're going to go down and we're going to kick a field goal and win this.
The Jets may have been re-energized, but the offense was still stuck in slow motion.
We were limited, in what we could do. So what I was trying to do is not do anything stupid. And our defense was playing pretty well, and we were hoping that we could get some kind of turnover.
It was almost like, let the defense lose it. We don't want to win it.
The Jets relied on a weary but determined defense to make a play to win the game. The unit nearly delivered.
It was very, very long. We were very tired, but I still remember, that hope, one thing that we could do to win that game.
The Browns got it back.
Come on, Kevin, hold on to the friggin' ball. Kevin, how'd the ball get out?
My hands were cold.
Come on now, you got to hold on that ball, Kevin. You understand me? Let's go. Come on, Kevin.
He's a power runner and one of those kind that as the game goes on, he's going to wear you down.
When situations got really tough, Kevin could take his game to another level. He could just say, okay, it's time for me to take this game on. Let's get physical, let's get after.
Bernie Kosar finished with 489 passing yards, a playoff record that still stands. But the final drive of overtime belonged to Kevin Mack. Playing with a bruised shoulder and a bloodied lip, Mack carried 6 times for 37 yards.
It kind of signifies for me that, no matter what kind of pain I thought I could not play with, if I just hung in there and believed in my teammates, then I can be successful and the team can be successful also.
2 minutes into double overtime, Mack positioned the Browns for another chance at a game-winning kick.
Here we go on 1st and goal at the 9. The Browns will do what they did in the first overtime period. They will try for the winning field goal on 1st down.
Those uprights are 12 yards wide. They got it right now. Look like the distance between 2 fingers to Mark Mosley.
Snap and set down, and the game is history. Cleveland wins it.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Super Bowl.
Cleveland Municipal Stadium has never seen a sight like this in its storied tradition. A double overtime, 23-20 Browns victory.
We collapsed. I think we had the game. I don't think they did anything to us that would have kept us from winning. I think we basically kept ourselves from winning.
I really, in my head, thought that we were going to win that game. The end, is when I realized, and still didn't really realize it until maybe, a few days later.
I remember being emotionally and physically drained after that game. I remember just sitting on the turf, on my ass, a helmet on, just going, what in the world just happened?
Even for the winners, the 3rd longest game in NFL history had exacted quite a toll.
At that point, I know I was exhausted and started feeling pain.
And now you realize, damn, I don't feel good. I'm tired. My ribs are sore. I was pretty spent.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Here
something that's really, really rare. You have just been a part of one of the greatest sporting events that has ever taken place in history.
While the Browns reveled in their victory, the Jets came to terms with the end of their season.
It's very difficult to get to the Super Bowl, and when you feel like you have a shot and you don't make it, it takes a little bit out of you. Takes a little bit out of you.
And you know, everybody used to always say, don't worry, we'll get them next year. Well, that next year never came for me, and I played till the end of the 90s.
When you're driving in the car, you're stuck in traffic, you start to think about the past. I think about the AFC Championship game that we lost to Miami, and I think about this Cleveland Brown game. Because there were so many what-ifs. I don't like having what-ifs. They start to make you nuts because you think about it all the time. And that's why I don't have a ring on my finger.
I hide a lot of my feelings and a lot of my things that I, think, but I'll tell you what, I've mostly put the blame on myself, I've just now gotten out of that to where I can move on and put things in the past and move on with my future.
Some people on our team, I think they thought that he was bigger than the team. So I didn't mind if he does his job and he was doing it like he was supposed to do. He could dance, be late to practice like he was a number of times. But a lot of other players on the team looking at it like, I'm glad it happened to him. I'm glad he's the one that made the play like that. If it would happen to anybody, that would be who they wanted to happen to.
I run into people today that still hate Mark for that hit. And I try to tell them, I say, you know what, that one hit didn't cost us the game.
If I could have taken back, and if I had to do over again, I would have went over and hugged him instead of, hit him, at that point in time. So if they're talking to me and asking me about that, they have to know that it bothered me a lot more than it bothers them.
After the loss to the Browns, the Jets did not win another playoff game for 12 years. And Bernie Kosar continued to haunt them. Against Miami in 1994, the Jets blew an 18-point lead and lost the game when Dan Marino successfully ran Kosar's clock play.
30 seconds to go. I believe Marino is saying, I'm going to spike it.
Takes the snap from center. He's looking. He throws.
Right!
Touchdown, Dolphins, Mark Ingram! Yes! I know you like that call.
After beating the Jets, the Browns' nemesis became the Denver Broncos and quarterback John Elway.
The win over the Jets, no question, took a lot out of that team. Gave us confidence, but we were tired. We were emotionally exhausted.
We won that game. We were coming back home against Denver, and we started thinking more toward Pasadena, I think it was, where the Super Bowl was, than the opponent that we were playing, and we forgot that we were playing against number 7.
In the 1986 AFC Championship, Elway's 98-yard drive in the final minutes of regulation propelled Denver to an overtime win. In 1987, the Broncos eliminated the Browns on a late fumble. And in 1989, Cleveland fell to Denver yet again. But no one in Cleveland will ever forget the marathon by the lake and one of the great comebacks in NFL history.
You have to have a defining game in your career. And I think that was a defining game in Bernie's career. After that game, heat arrived. And all of the bad things that could happen to a quarterback all in one game, and he kept coming back.
It really showed a lot of what that team was about, and kind of like to think what I'm about. I'm trying to get across to my kids is, you don't quit. You don't get down.
It's all first blood, man. It's all first blood.
Do it our way
One play at a time.
When you're trying to do something that's possibly impossible, like trying to get those 10 points in 3 minutes and, not blow a home playoff game with, the AFC's best record, you really do need to take it a step at a time and a play at a time. And it's actually even carried into my life now, Marty's little thing. Do the best you can today and tomorrow will take care of itself. Do the best you can on this play, the next play will take care of itself.
This NFL Films production has been brought to you by NFL Network. Watch the National Football League 24 hours a day on NFL Network.